It just has a name there.
Okay. I'll be right up. I just pulled in the parking lot.
Okay.
Thanks.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Dr. Pfeiffer will be with you shortly.
Okay.
How you doing, Shannon?
Oh, hey, what's up?
Not much.
I'm actually on time for once.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was my computer. It like broke down last time, and here it wasn't my computer.
Yeah, it's funny. I logged on and there was nobody there. I'm like, holy cow, I'm there before Doug is.
That
How you doing?
was pretty good. Just I'm off Friday, so I don't know. I guess you guys work on Friday. Do you work on Fridays?
Yeah, I work in my Pittsburgh office on Fridays. I'm actually doing telemedicine from home because I got COVID exposed and
Oh,
I'm negative PCR, but
yeah.
4 days of the potential viral loading, the viral shedding. So I'm just staying home.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Normal.
Good.
Yeah, I had COVID about a year ago, and I still have the antibodies. There's LabCorp has a semi-quantitative antibody now.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty impressive. Chris was talking about yesterday that he said that there's a small study that came out and said if you have a semi-quantitative score of 117 or above, then you're likely to have 80% less risk of getting COVID again. It's under 117, you have like a 30% increased risk of getting COVID again.
Okay. Okay.
So you can use that as a gauge, and then certainly ongoing. We're starting to have people do it like every 3 months to see if their immunity is coming down or the antibodies are coming down for exposure.
And yeah, it's a good way to track it, I guess. Just to see.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people that want to do that. So it's really good just for knowledge, of course. So because no one's really looking at it. So
Sure.
he
Sure.
said that he's going to do a post to kind of push the envelope on natural immunity next week. I'm like, okay, buckle up. Okay, are we going to get shut down by the state? Holy shit.
Right.
Okay.
He's pushing it again, that guy, I'll tell you.
I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I mean, but if anybody can do it, it's him because he really knows what he's talking about with immunology.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's pretty good tightrope guy, but.
Oh yeah, he's walking it right now, from what I understand. Again.
Yeah,
He's
I don't know
got-
how much he told you, but that seemed to have gone away as far as the state coming in and kind
Oh,
of.
good. Now he's
Yeah,
got
we
some
had-
personal stuff, I know. So yeah, he's got his hands full. But
Yeah,
sorry, there's a couple
we
minutes.
pushed back pretty hard, and they kind of shut up and let us go because, we had evidence on our side as far as all that crap with ivermectin. So it was good.
good, excellent. Well, that's always good to hear too.
Yeah.
All right, so dodge the bullet again. For the rest of us, thank you.
Mm.
All right, so just, I don't want to belabor things today, guys. Thanks for being here. Sorry I was a few minutes late. So the upcoming Lunch and Learns, we got Keith, you're coming up November 18th, I've got here, right?
I don't know where I wrote it down. I'm just gonna write it down again though.
Yeah, I had November 18th from 12 to 1, if that still works.
All right, let me just make sure which day this is on. I don't know where I lost my other notes.
It's all right.
November 18th. What is it?
So I had 12 to 1, if that still works for you.
Yeah, that's great.
And, I had Paul in there in October. Now, Paul and I have gone back and forth because he sent me some PowerPoints, but it was more like a lay lecture kind of thing. And I said, you got to get some more clinical stuff in there. And I told him to go look at some of the ones that you guys have done already, which are archived on the PCA website. And I said, just take a look at them so you get a perspective on what you need to do. So I told him we talked, but I haven't really gotten a chance. I have no excuses. I should have, but I haven't spoken with him. So I don't know where we are for October. But I think, Keith, as long as you're comfortable with it, we'll keep you in November and see what goes on in October with Paul. And I know Greg had told me he's got some personal things going on. I know Chris does too. So, they got a lot happening in life right now. So that's part of the reason I know Greg isn't with us today. But as far as the webinars go, Chris is working on getting his credentialing or whatever from Bridgeport so we can apply to the state board. So we're a little behind schedule on what I had hoped we'd be able to do to get this approved by January. I'm hoping we can still get it approved for the January webinar.
He was a little confused as to what he needed to do, and I talked to him yesterday because he never had to do it. Apex always took care of that for him. So I told him from my experience, because I had to do a lot of that through the PCA myself, and I said, all you got to do is do an hour by hour of what you're going to talk about in your seminar, and then, kind of do a little bit of a detail per hour. And then your curriculum vitae and, a letter from a college, which you already have, and you should be good. So he didn't realize that's all he had to do. At least that's what I had to do back in the day. So.
Right. And I think that's pretty accurate. The only thing is that Chris, from what I understand, and maybe I'm wrong here, he was reaching out to Bridgeport to get the, I don't know, certification papers or whatever to send in to the state board.
He should already have that through whoever, maybe it was Bridgeport that did it through when he did it through Apex. So yeah, I mean, that's, for me, it was all, they just had to, can't remember who the lady was. She's not there anymore through the PCA that did it all for me. But she called Palmer. She called Palmer and they sent it. So I mean, if I have to do that again, PCA should have all that on file. To be quite honest,
they should have that on file for you, Shannon. I'm sure.
Well, Chris did stuff through Apex through PCA, so they should still have that on file for him as well.
Well, maybe I better give them a call because, we're kind of waffling back and forth with them and they're saying, we need this. And I reached out to Chris and then I got an email from Chris and he said, and I know he's got his hands full already with things. And he said that he had contacted Bridgeport to get.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday on the phone and I told him kind of try to simplify it for him because he had his personal assistant trying to get it and she kind of didn't know what to do either. So I just try to kind of spearhead him in the right direction. So the only thing he really needed to do was itemize his hour by hour, topics for his lecture. And then, PCA should have all that because
I'm going to find
he did I think he did 3 Apex seminars that were modified, but he did them through PCA.
Okay.
So
they should have that.
They should.
Yeah.
Because it was approved continuing ed through PCA.
All right.
It was a couple years ago.
Well, and hopefully it's still credentialing wise, it's still good, but I'll give them a call after we finish up.
When you do, ask them about mine if I have to do all that again, if they should have it on record as well. But I'm assuming I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about and then kind of itemize my hour by hour lecture. And the other thing I want to talk to you about is I don't want to do it on telemed. I want to do it in person.
Well, the only problem with that, Shannon, and I know Chris had said the same thing to me, and I understand why, but PCA has been adamant about the fact that they want to do it on a webinar because I think, in part, expense, COVID crap still, and the potential, at least, that people are getting spoiled. This is my interjection. People are getting spoiled relative to not having to go anywhere. They just take it all at home. So I'll broach it again for you.
Well, here's the other thing. Research Nutritionals wants to sponsor me and Chris. And when I had the conversation with Steven from Research Nutritionals, he's like, the owner of the company doesn't want to sponsor it if it's a virtual. They will sponsor if it's in person because they basically don't make any money and they don't do anything when it's virtual.
But that may be a selling point for us too with PCA.
That's why I'm telling you. I talked to them and they won't cover my expenses and pay me any stipends if it's not in person. So
okay, so I will. I think that if we were just to do it on our own through PCA, they're going to be pushing back partially because of expense, et cetera, et cetera. But if Research Nutritionals is willing to do it, then.
Well, that's my point. Like, I don't know what expense, from when I did them before, we split, I did a 50-50 split with them with whatever fees they collected from the members. And then they didn't pay for an overnight room or anything for me. And then the rental of the room, they paid for that. So basically the costs, they didn't have any cost. It was basically free for them because the amount of attendees pretty much covered the cost of renting the room, as far as I saw.
So who paid for the room?
PCA.
Okay. What does Research Nutritionals do in the whole thing? Do they have any
Well,
skin in the game?
They always paid kind of extra, that like paid me to do the seminar,
So they're paying you, but they're
So-
not offsetting the cost.
Well,
of the room
he
or
would,
whatever.
if I tell him, look, we'll do it in person and here's how much you have to flip. And if I had to pay for the room rental out of my portion, then so be it, I'll do that, right?
Okay. But your portion came from PCA. They're the ones who are collecting the
When
fee,
they
right?
collected the money, they collected, and then I got half of the collections from them, and then State Research always flipped me more money, basically, to do the seminar.
Okay, so it's basically a regular seminar. Let me check with them. I'll reach out to Allison and maybe even Ed, and just say, hey, this is what we'd like to do. Research Nutritionals will be involved, and what are the expenses? And then I can get back to you and let you know, and you can go to Research Nutritionals and say, hey, can you kick in whatever?
Yeah.
Whether it's half or all would be great, but
Yeah.
something.
Well, even if if they're going to charge the members, what was it, like $129 or?
Yeah,
I
something
guess
like
it
that.
might not even be that much because it's not a full 12-hour seminar.
Right, right. So you're
so-
doing like 4 hours. So say it's $99 or something for 4
Yeah.
hours, let's say.
And we have to have a minimum of, what would that be, like 20 people,
Right,
I'm assuming, 20 docs?
something like that.
So-
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's $2,000 for them to utilize towards payment of the room and coffee and
right,
all that
right.
stuff. And if I have to call around, I'll have my personal assistant call around and find a place in Harrisburg or somewhere nice that we can kind of meet at in the middle of the state or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So we could help put it together too.
Yeah, I mean, I can always help do the legwork and whatever.
Yeah, all right, that's great, Shannon.
I don't mind doing, I would do it virtual. It's just, I did a 3-hour one through Cleveland College. It was just brutal. It's just talking to yourself and there's no feedback and it's just,
Right,
I don't know.
right. It's much more difficult, I'm sure. And I did talk to Chris about this because he said the same thing to me initially, and I said, well, they're pushing back against that, so I really would rather you do it virtual. Now, if we do get this through, Chris's is already going to be in the pipeline. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it with Chris's as rapidly. If he's going to be doing it in January, maybe we can. I don't know.
I mean, if we push back a little bit, maybe we can get what we want. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll do that.
Alright.
So, let's see if we can do it. And then Keith, yours, and hey, look, Paul's here. Good to see you, Paul.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Hey, Paul.
I was just talking about you. I said I dropped the ball. I never called you on your PowerPoints and everything. So maybe we can do that if you don't mind. I've got your contact information, but if you could just shoot me an email with your contact info on it, and
Sure.
let me know when you're available to speak too. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Fridays are good for me, but a weekend or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Okay, that'd be great. I can
We'll get
definitely,
hammered out.
hammer it out.
Because your
Sounds-
gig is coming up next month, and we don't have a lot of time now.
True.
All
True.
right?
Yeah. And I do.
All
I
right.
know I have a lot of work to do. I've never presented to the chiropractic profession, and it's good to hear
Whoop.
because in my head, I love this profession, but I love adjusting patients. I've never been on the teaching end. I don't know reimbursement wise what other than it's just the gratitude of being a presenter and helping others. I don't know where that falls, and I'm if I'm going to present, I'll definitely be very, very prepared, and it'll take a lot of time, but whatever.
Well, basically with these lunch and learns, it's kind of like an hour deal, and you just kind of, get as much clinical information, and then, the aspects of your CBD and how it affects it, maybe neurologically or whatever. Shannon, he's got, and Keith both have programs that I think are posted up on the PCA website that you could just kind of take a look at how they presented and what they presented. And Shannon's the man if you have any questions about, just structuring your talk or anything like that. Maybe you guys could email back and forth if necessary. Just volunteered you there, Shannon, sorry.
Yeah. I know Keith's done a bunch. You've done a bunch too, right, Keith?
Yeah, I've done a bunch. I don't know, 3, 4, something like that.
I mean, I've done, gosh, I don't remember now, 10, 12. Chris has done 40.
Yeah.
So I kind of
So-
just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting the data, being able to present clinical data and, give them some takeaways and what they can do on Monday, so to speak.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
the 1
no,
hour, you'd mentioned, doing it out of the kind of the goodness of our hearts for the profession, which we all do, but the 1 hour, you're not going to get paid for. The ones that we used to do pre-COVID, were 12-hour continuing ed, PCA would help get the continuing education credits and things like that. They would split the take 50-50, and they would pay for the room out of their share, and then however many docs would come, you'd kind of split the intake. But if you get some like a supplement company, or if you get a CBD company to sponsor you and they can be there, then they can give you like a supplemental income, which was between you and them. But they'll get more exposure and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how it's kind of evolved over the course of time.
So, as we get started
Okay,
with
that's
this,
good to know.
I'm sorry. As we get started with this, it's just to kind of get your face out there, your name out there as part of the functional nutrition working group. And then, like Shannon is going to be presenting, more of a formalized seminar in February, and Chris will be in January. I mean, what I'm trying to do is build on what we've started and make it into something that's more routine, that PCA can have access to us as the experts in the field and, utilize our services rather than going outside to find somebody all the time. All right, so moving along. So we got, I'll take care of that, Shannon. I'll send an email off to her.
Thank you.
See if I can get moving on that. Okay?
Thanks.
Yeah, and then Keith, you will be coming up next after that. So really what we have to do is start working on the credentialing for you with one of the chiropractic colleges, which I don't know what that costs, but they did mention something about cost. It's going to be expensive, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to try and get them to cover all that stuff so that that's not anything that comes out of you or anybody else.
Sure. Just let me know what I need to do,
Yeah, definitely. And it'll probably be, from what Shannon said, essentially just giving them a blow by blow on your presentation on an hourly basis, and then your CV. And they want a picture too, Shannon. They want to know what you look like.
Yeah, they want your picture, they want your CV, and they want, before they wanted the hour by hour. I kind of broke it down into like 20-minute segments per hour, like with what my slides look like.
Okay.
Just keep, like just make it sound really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make it sound better than it really is.
make it
of
sound
course.
better than what the slide says, Neuroimmune inflammatory presentations and chronic illness, at this hour.
Yeah, that sounds really brainy. Anyway, then Keith, you would be next in the lineup. So that would take us into March, and then Greg would be in April. And then if you choose to, Paul, then you could be in May doing a more of a organized seminar. That's my objective at this point. We'll see how that flies with them, but that's what I'd like to do.
Okay.
And so
Sidebar, Doug, did you
Yes.
talk to them about topics of what they might, or did they poll the profession, like the PCA members, and see what they want us to talk about? Did you do that?
I did. And to be honest with you, I don't know what the response was to that. I think they were positive. This response I got, I think, was positive, but I never really followed up on questions.
Yeah, we can
Getting it
like the
formalized.
top 5, top 10 topics that docs are looking for.
Mhm.
Whether any of us want to kind of talk about them or not, I guess we could talk about that, but just kind of see what they're interested in. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I know we discussed that, and I did, as I say, I did send that out, but I didn't follow up on it afterwards. I don't know what the response was, to be honest with you, but I'll hit it again.
All right.
And Greg is kind of off the, the turf right now. So he's going to be, kind of working on the newsletter once he gets back into things. So for right now, the newsletter is kind of skewed. As far as PRing our programs, it's going to rely more on the home office than it is on Greg with some of the stuff he was sending to them. But we'll get it there. We'll just do the best we can. My main objective right now is to see that we can get, your seminars, quote unquote, scheduled and all the credentialing and stuff that they need for the state board, and to see that we get our next webinar up and running. So, as long as you feel you can do it in relative short order, Paul, you would be October, my friend. So we got to come up with a date and time that's convenient for you, and then, kind of help put the information together for you and or with you, and see if we can get that PR marketed a little bit through PCA, so that we can have have folks on there for you. All right, so convention 2022. We're definitely in for convention. Okay. The question is how much they want. So I know they want a 12-hour seminar. The question is, are we going to give a 12-hour seminar, or are we going to give 2 6-hour seminars? Can we fit another 4-hour seminar in there, which is kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to give a lot of exposure to a lot of our group, so they get to know who we are and what we're about, and that we know what we're talking about. And Chris and I had spoken about it. He's interested in doing a component of it, whatever it ends up being. I need to get together with the CE committee and the convention committee and kind of talk to them about what they really want. And then we'll hopefully by next meeting have more of an idea of what we're going to be able to provide for them. So kind of hang in there. I know Chris has already been alerted to it, and he's probably going to be on the agenda. But I was kind of hoping that I could get a couple more of us on there. So, Shannon, I know you had some info that you had done before on blood chemistry, and something like that, maybe. And I think that was a 6-hour program, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of thinking maybe we could have a couple of those as well. So we'll see what they want and what.
When is the convention? I know it's March, right?
Yeah, they gave me the date. March. Hang with me. Hang on, Dan McCann had given it to me. And I think it was a text, so just bear with me.
Is it a 1-day or is it 2-day?
It's a Friday, Saturday. It used to be the whole weekend, but now it's Friday, Saturday. Let's see here. It's in Pittsburgh. It's May 13th through the 15th. So actually it's, what is it?
Oh, I thought they were telling me that it was in March. That's even better if it's in May.
Yeah, it's in May. I'm just reaching out about the Pittsburgh 2022 convention. Let me see. So it's I thought it started on a Friday, but maybe not. Let's see. May, what did I say? 13th?
13th,
Yeah, 13th to 15th. So it actually goes through Sunday. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, according to what he said. That we may have a little bit more time. Maybe they're trying to make it a little bit more like it used to be. Great to
It's actually, that's perfect timing, because if we have to do, because we're going to do the continuing education credits for that, it's 90 days before that. So we have plenty of time to get that in.
Exactly. So just to go through this thread I had back and forth with him, he asked for 12 hours. He said, does that work? I said, absolutely. And then I said we could do an 8-hour and a 4-hour.
What about 4 3 hours?
Yeah, we can do that too, I'm sure. I mean, however we want to break it up, I think is up to us.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna broach that with them.
Well,
If
well,
you-
maybe like 3 hours per, per member of our committee. So, I mean, if there's what, 6 of us? 1, 2,
Yep.
3, 4. So like 3, so do 18 hours, every one of us gets 3 hours, or is that too much?
Well, I don't know. I can question that. 18 hours.
And just reason being, it gives us all exposure.
Sure, sure.
But then also, I mean, if not, we'll do, everybody can do 4 hours and we'll push it to 24 hours. But, whatever, I don't know how that works. I know it's a little bit more of a dynamic to get everybody's continuing education and curriculum vitae and approval.
Right,
But we're all going to
right.
be doing that before that anyway.
And beyond that, I know a lot of times, like Roy Love is the co-chair on the committee, and I know he always likes to have adjusting stuff in there and, other things perhaps than what we're going to be presenting. So it's all going to depend on the flavor of the committee and what they actually
How
want.
many hours do they typically have available for docs on the weekend? Because I haven't been there forever. Because
Well, it's been a while. It's run differently than it used to be. So, and maybe they're going back to a similar format if they're going 3 days now, because it was for a while just Friday, Saturday. So, it used to be that they try to get 24 hours in there
Mhm.
years ago. But, I mean, it was all broken up. You had tracks running at the same time and all
well,
that
yeah,
kind of stuff, you know?
normally it was like 2 different tracks. So you could have a health
Right.
and wellness track, or they can have a biomechanical spinal adjusting track. I don't know.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, they're going to want to give us 12 and somebody else 12, but I don't know that for a
Okay.
fact. So that's what I need to check into. But, as you said, even if we do 3-hour, chunks, at least we could get 4 of those, which
Yeah.
that would be fine. So just something to think about, but we're definitely in there. So be prepared because we're going to be presenting. It's just a question of how many hours and how many of us. So we'll get that figured out too. Okay. So
Not that it matters. What hotel are they reserving for that?
that I don't know yet. They used to have it, trying to think, it was right in the city somewhere.
Yeah, well, they had it right at the point the one year, and it was that hotel was just going downhill. So whatever.
Okay.
I was just
Well,
kidding.
you're out that way. You probably know better than I what the nice ones are. Maybe we can plug in their ear about that too.
The Weston's probably the nicest one down there.
Weston.
Yeah.
Well, I asked Dan.
Not that I have my choice, but you never know. I mean, if we're
Well,
going
you
to do
never
it, might as
know.
well have a nice one, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you know the area, I don't know where, I think Dan's from out this way and Roy's from State College. So they may not really have a good feel for the venues out there, so to speak. All right. So is there anything else that we need to talk about for the good of the cause here?
When do you need my hour by hour itinerary for the February thing? I'm assuming.
Well, judging
next
from the
month.
way it's going, I'm sorry, Chris, Shannon, judging from the way it's going with Chris, I'd say the sooner the better. So, as soon as you can get it to me. I mean, my goal was to have it out, let's see, in November, December, January, February. Yeah, have it out in November to them.
So the
that they-
reason I was kind of dragging my feet a little bit, because I thought that for that seminar, it was going to kind of parlay into what we were going to talk about at the convention. So I just didn't know what we were doing. So I kind of was holding off on like what I was going to talk about.
Sure.
In
Sure.
my mind, it's, functional chemistry is skewed towards what I want to do is it's skewed towards like chronic fatigue, like all the aspects of how we look at chronic fatigue and what avenues you can kind of test on and how.
And then you would build on that at the convention, you're thinking?
I've been compiling basically do that, but more case studies of here's what this presentation was. What would you test for? Kind of like a quiz, like an on-site.
Yeah.
And what would you do to help support this patient? Here's what the outcome was. Do pre and post blood chem. So I'm kind of compiling that so I can kind of present it that way.
Well,
Because for
I
me-
think that would probably work well. So what I'm going to say is at this point, what I would do is I'd prepare to do that. And then what I'll find out is, how many hours you're going to have and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Shannon, the bottom line is we're going to be presenting. So
Okay.
it's just. a
So I mean,
question
even
of-
if I did, like, even if I had like, if I came up with like 8 case presentations and then kind of work through like the presenting illness and the presenting symptoms, and then here's what my thought process was and how I ordered the test, here's what they came up with, here's what we did, and here's the result. I mean, that really worked well, when I was doing that with my other seminars, and the docs really kind of ate it up because it kind of gives them like a hands-on, step-by-step, like here's how I look at it. Whether you modify that and do it the way you want to do it is completely up to you, but certainly that's kind of what helped a lot. And I got a lot of good feedback on Monday morning, what do I do and what to expect kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah, and it makes it more real. It's almost like, going on rounds,
yeah. Like, what would you do? This patient comes to you, it's 20-year-old female, chronic fatigue, here's what's going on. What test would you order?
Yeah.
If you don't know what test to order, okay, that's what we're here for. But it really worked well that way.
Yeah,
So that's the
no,
way
I
was
think
doing it.
it's a good kind of quizzing way to do it. And I think it reinforces maybe what they've learned prior to that,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a real, I think that would be a real beneficial way to do it for the docs that are interested, obviously, the docs that are there.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Shannon, you good? Keith, everything good?
The one in the New Year's excuse me webinars, are we doing 2-hour or 3-hour?
All right, let me just regroup here. So we're talking about the February seminar?
I guess I think for me it's March, right?
March, yes. So I had 9 to 12 on these.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Online, if we were going to do a virtual, it was going to be a 3-hour. I'm going to try and push for a 4-hour in person, but whether you want to
Right.
do virtual or in person.
Okay.
But that's what I would rather do it in person personally.
Right. And I'm going to push for that. We'll see if we can get through the gauntlet here on it. And, I may have to have a couple conversations with them, but I think, we've got some great information, and the presentation, I understand, would be much more appealing, not only to the presenters, but also to the those in the audience, to be able to have that interchange and that one-on-one. I know
It's so much better when there's interaction.
yeah, exactly. So we'll shoot for that.
Okay.
All right, and Paul, if you get that information off to me, we'll connect and see if we can't get your deal up and running. All right. So, all right, guys, we did it again. Thank you. I'll work on these, and I'll keep you informed to the best of my ability as to what the responses are, and we'll move on from there.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank
Yeah.
you. Take
Thank you.
care.
Okay, guys.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.